Good morning, everybody. Welcome to Zoe's Treasures. I'm Tracy, and my husband Noel is behind the scenes. As you could tell, we're in a little bit of a different spot today, so just kind of trying to get used to this new setup. Just decided to change it up a little bit. I hope you guys are having a good day. Let me kind of flip through, see who is here. We've got all kinds of people here. S. Fish, good morning. I'm going to be talking about you later in a good way. I'm going to be mentioning the raid trains you're on. Cynthia's Attic, how is everybody? There are so many of you, there is no way I'm going to name everybody, so good morning, everybody. Wandering through life with me, good morning. What's new, you guys? What is going on? Oh, thank you, Calm Beast. Thank you. If you like my shirt, I do sell them. They're actually in the bin, so I have just recently put them in the bin, actually right after the last show. I usually sell them on my website, so you can get them there, but I also throw them in the bin if you're interested in t-shirts. Yes, thank goodness it is Friday. So let's just talk really quick. In the bin, I have, let me pin my thing here really quick, just to, get people in. In the bin, we have the PDF. So we have our 22 Whatnot tools. It is free. Do not buy it. There's a ridiculous price on there. Do not buy the 22 Whatnot tools. If you want to get that, it's like a 14-page PDF where I outline all the different Whatnot tools, various ways to use them. Just message me your email address. Sometime after the show, I will send it to you. If you want it right now, if you don't want to wait, you can go to my website. My husband will put that up, and you can download it yourself instantly. Otherwise, if you just want me to send it, just send me your email address. Also in the bin, I have all about accounting, all about financial statements, and all about inventory. So 3 different PDFs. It's not going to make you a CPA, accounting wizard, but what it'll do is give you some really good base information, give you some good understanding of how those things operate, and provide that kind of that talking points for you to go to your CPA. And just if accounting's not your thing, that's why I did this, just to kind of give you a high level overview so you have a pretty good understanding for your own business. So with that, let me get a giveaway going. Let's see if I can remember today. I always put giveaways in here, but then I never run them. First giveaway today is, these are the cool ones. This is an ephemera pack. You get old postcard, bingo cards, some old canceled checks, and old playing cards. So that is going to be our first giveaway today. Oh, and something else. What else is in there? Oh, and a black and white photo. Look at that. All right. So that's up and going. I have some stuff I want to talk to you guys today about. Good morning, Kiss My Glass. Choco Dog, Southern Charm. Hello, hello. Sorry if I am missing you. It is coming in too fast while I'm talking, but I'm trying to stay up on it. Next week, before I forget, we like to have special guests come every now and then and do some co-hosting with us. Next week, I have somebody that maybe some of you have not met yet, and I'm really excited to have them. It is Forever Young Resellers is going to be on the show next week. Probably not for the whole show, but at least for a little while so that we can get to know them. This is another husband and wife team, fairly new sellers, like maybe 3 months on the app, about that, give or take a couple of weeks in there. And again, husband and wife team. So of course I'm already in love because, I think husband and wife teams rock. Tina and Gerald, I think I'm saying it right. I'm pretty sure it's Gerald. They are on literally this husband and wife team. They get up and go to work every day. They have 9 to 5. So they're part-time sellers on the app. They're on at like 4:45 every morning, like 4:45 to about 6:37 in the morning. So unless you're an early bird, you might not have caught them. So I'm really excited to bring them on the show, and maybe they introduce them to you, and you guys may find new sellers. They're vintage decor. They have really cool stuff. They have some really good glass items. So we're going to meet them next week, hear all about them, just to have a really good interview with them. It is early. They are on. And the only reason I know about them is because, as you guys know, I work full time too. So the days when I have a lot of shipping, I usually get up at 4:30 in the morning and I go downstairs to do shipping before I go to work. And this is who I usually watch. So anyways, it's just a couple of upcoming events. And then I have some questions to ask you and kind of a hot topic thing to talk about, things that I've heard this week. Maybe I might be pushing some buttons. We're going to get there. But coming up this week, Oh, Lake Erie Vintage, you got some class from them this week. Oh, that's awesome. Cool. Thank you for your purchase from the bin. I appreciate that. New seller search. Every month, the last Wednesday of the month, I do new seller search. If you are a new seller and you want to get on a new seller raid train, send me a message. This is a very short 2-hour raid train. Sellers get 20 minutes, and it is for sellers with less than 1,000 sales. Right now, we are booking into November. I will not do the show in December because the last Wednesday is New Year's Eve. We're not going to do that. But if you're interested, email me or message me. This Wednesday, though, we have 6 new sellers. Thank you, Southern Charm. It is fun raid train. You get to meet people maybe you might not meet. It is cross category, so it's not just vintage. So Wednesday, 6 o'clock, we have Leslie Gems, sorry. We're going to try to tag them here so you could follow them if you want. 61-3 Attic is at 6:20. At 6:40 is Ramona Y. You'll see her in here. I might have saw her name pop up earlier. If you are here, if I'm calling you out and you're here, please feel free. Put your emojis in there. Say what you're selling, whatever other information. 7 o'clock, Mary Tom 66. 7:20, this is a tongue twister. So She Sells Stuff. And 7:40, Timeless Charm Co. After Timeless Charm Co., good morning, Ramona. We come back to me. I always do a giveaway at the end, so I'll kick it off. We go through all of our new sellers. We get to meet them. They get 20-minute spots. And what's kind of fun about this raid train is because they're new sellers, this may be their first raid train, maybe not. They may have been on another one or two. And they're asked to try something new. You know me, I'm all about trying new things, experimenting. You don't know what works unless you're trying things. So if the sellers normally pre-list, they're asked to do 1 to 3 random items. If they normally are a random person, they're asked to do 1 or 3 pre-list. They all have to do 1 item at $1. Does not have to be a high value item, any item they want. They can take a pen and do it for $1 if they want. But it's just trying something new. It's just getting outside your comfort zone. And that's what this train is about. It's just about getting familiar with the raid train, being on time, raiding on time, pressing the buttons, doing all the good things. So that is Wednesday. Please follow us. Let's see who is our first giveaway winner today. Previously mentioned, congratulations, and thank you so much for being in the show today. I appreciate it. Let's see if we can get another giveaway going. I'm impressing myself that I'm on top of it for at least the first 5 minutes of the show. All right, the next giveaway, what do we have here? We have a My Vibe is Vintage sticker. That's what you're going to get. All right. And for those of you that are new, did you know one of our terms of service is when a giveaway is going, you have to show what the giveaway is. That's why I'm always like, hey, this is what you're going to get. That's one of our terms of service. Hi, Joy Enterprise. Good morning. All right. Oh, thank you, Tennessee. TN Back Row Treasures. Guessing that's Tennessee. I got a couple of questions for you. I want to talk about facilitating this morning because I think there is almost no difference between facilitating and selling. I think there's a lot of things that we could take from lessons learned from facilitating and apply them to selling. But before I get there, there's some hot topics. I have been hearing it almost every talk show. I've heard it. I've seen it on the Facebook, Whatnot Facebook groups. And I've also just heard it mentioned in a couple of other just regular selling shows. But before I get to actually those topics, I got a couple of questions. What would you consider to be metrics of success? So this has to be something measurable, something within Whatnot. What would you consider something you would look at to determine success on Whatnot? Let me know in the chat. Tell me what do you think it is? And I'm not going to give you my answers yet. I want to see what you have to say first. Number of sales, that's a good one because you can measure that. Profit, that another good one. All these things are measurable. And this is kind of what I'm looking for. Items sold, ratings, average sales or dollars per average dollar per sale. Yep, your average sales rate, number of followers, engagement. All right, so you guys are saying all new buyers, followers, and there's no right or wrong answers here. This is very subjective because to each one of us, that metric of success could be different. However, we're kind of seeing a theme, right? If we're looking at this number of true followers, people who actually show up and purchase, so buyers, we're seeing kind of a theme here, right? A lot of it kind of goes around how many people are in your room and how much money are you making is kind of the theme, is success, which is what I expected, right? That's what I think all of us in the back of our heads would think. Okay, next question. And we're going to look at just vintage decor category because Whatnot's too big for me to say everybody. But in just vintage decor, what are some of the sellers? And you don't have to tag them. It's early in the morning. Just put their name without the tag because we don't want to wake them up. What sellers do you see fit that metrics? What sellers would you say are successful? Using those metrics we just talked about, what vintage decor sellers do you say are successful? Let's see a couple of names. Upcycled, Hodgepodge, Upcycled by Bree. Thanks for your purchase from the bin. I expected those to. Oh, thank you, S Fish. Upcycled by Bree. Thank you, guys. You're making me feel really good this morning. BB's Boutique, House of Coop, Upcycled by Bree. So we've seen Upcycled by Bree. Jenny, is that Jenny down south? I think. Yeah, she's a great one. Julie's Designs and Signs. Amy Perrin, absolutely. Okay, so a lot of these people, what do they have in common? Because this is the first thing we're going to talk about this morning. Hodgepodge, yes. What are Hodge, Upcycled by Bree? And I talked about this consistency. Bustle in a Peck is a good one. Yeah, they build community. They have determination. They have drive. They're consistent. So absolutely, all of those things, I think you can't be successful in Whatnot without that. A set schedule. Upcycled by Bree, I saw our first show and there were tons of people. Exactly. So they all started somewhere. But one thing that a lot of these big sellers, and we touched on this last year, More Decor, yes, I love More Decor, that we touched on last week is dollar starts. Now, I'm not going to sit here and preach to you that dollar starts are the way to go. But I want to talk about them because there has been so much talk this week. Actually, two things, dollar starts and free shipping are hot topics, right? And I'm not going to spend the whole show on it, but I do need to make a couple of points. So, dollar starts. I have heard there is like this, it's like this polar opposite. I think people feel that dollar starts or low starts. Let's not even say dollar. It could be 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, like a set lower start. There's two schools of thought. People are like, absolutely don't do this. It's terrible. I would never do it. You're losing money. There's that train of thought, right? Joy Enterprise, congratulations. You won the giveaway. Thanks for being in the show today. So there's that school of thought. Then there's the school of thought that's like, it's the way to go. Nothing's better. But it's not, it doesn't have to be an all or nothing. You could price your items at whatever price you want and maybe throw in a couple $2 starts or dollar starts or $5 starts. It is dollar starts and shipping. So your starting price and your shipping are just tools in your tool belt that you use strategically in your business. There is no right or wrong. Variety is the spice of life. There you go, S-Fish. Exactly. There is no right or wrong. And I think the reason why, like, I kind of got a little bit like, I don't know, all riled up this week when I was listening to it is that I feel it's very polarized. And I feel it's there's sellers out here that are very much never do it. And it's okay if it doesn't work for you and you're not going to do that. That's okay. But to tell everybody else that don't do it, don't ever do it, it's terrible. That's where I start getting riled up and I'm like, no, we all as business owners, we get to make our own decisions, right? You have to do what's best for your business. Exactly, the Vintage Vine. Good morning, Mrs. Big Papa Pump. So these are tools that you use. No right or wrong. There's benefits to them. There's disadvantages to them, to everything. I'm a huge dollar start proponent. I tried it for a couple of months. I have multiple reasons why I decided not to do it on all of my shows, but I loved it. So there's pros and cons to all of this. It's our responsibility, especially as sellers who are doing chat shows, to try to be objective and fair and unbiased in our portrayal of these. Now, I'm going to tell you, okay, this is my opinion. This is why I do it, what I've chosen. But I'm also going to try to give you as much of the both sides of the view as I can. I may miss points. I'm human. I don't know all the things there is to know. Yes, the one size fits all, and that's what just irked me this week. There was a lot of one size fits all, and then it's caveated with, well, just do what you want, do your thing. One of the terms I heard this week, and this is a huge fallacy with dollar starts or low starts. I don't want to just get hooked on dollar. This is a huge fallacy with low starts, is the term know your worth. I don't know how to, like, I don't even know if there's a nice way for me to say this, but I want one caveat before I go into the rest of this conversation. I do not feel that my words here about this topic apply to handmade. I think pricing with handmade is a completely different beast. And so when I am talking right now about pricing, let's put handmade in its own category, in its own bucket, because I don't think it applies. I think handmade is completely different. I am talking about those of us that buy something and resell it. We're quickly flipping products, okay? So the term know your worth. Worth, your product, your worth has zero to do with your product. Zero. They're not connected. Because if I was going to place my worth, make the product, my coffee cup, for example, the price of this coffee cup based on my worth, I'm telling you, nobody could afford it because I'm worth too much. So are you. So is everybody in this room. So is every seller on this app. Your worth is not the product's worth. Miss Big Papa Pub, thank you. Thank you for backing me up on this. The value for a product, the value for any product is determined by what somebody will pay for it. It's a market price. It's determined by what your buyer will pay for it. It's not even totally determined by you. What do? We get something, we look up comps, we say, oh, it sells on the Bay, or it sells on this place for this much. Google Lens says this. I think I'm going to price it around here. We go on comps, right? At the end of the day, the value of that item is whatever you sell it for. That's the value. So when I have a show and I have 20, 30, 40 people in the show, and I put this cup up for auction, whatever that ending price is, that's the value of that item. It doesn't matter if I think this is a $50 cup or a $1 cup. That has nothing to do with the value of that cup, okay? You're just taking educated guesses. It's no different. Let's relate this to something else. It's no different than selling a house, right? I'm sure most of us here have bought or sold a house at one point in our lives. You go to sell your house, your realtor comes over, they walk through and they look around and they're like, yeah, I think your house is worth $200,000. We'll put it on the market for $200,000. It sits there. 6 months later, now it's worth $175,000. It's all about what somebody's going to pay for it. So I just really, that whole know your worth thing has zero to do with it, to do with your products. So when we're talking about doing a low start, it's not devaluing you to do a low start. Again, in this conversation, I'm not saying everybody should do low starts. You need to do what works for your business. Strategically, look at pricing as a tool. I think Sean said it this morning, S. Fish, variety is the spice of life. So you need to do what is best for you. However, I just had to make this point, just because I've just heard so much negativity, not just on the dollar starts, but on the $2, $3, $4, $5 starts. There are a lot of people that have successful businesses built on those models. It is part of their business plan. If that business plan is not for you, then that's okay. I want to talk, I put some notes here because I just thought it was really important. I'm surprised I haven't seen it in the chat, but one of the things I expected to see is, well, what about my time? What about the time I spend sourcing and the time I spend packing and, the time I spend cleaning the item or preparing for the show? Absolutely. I get it. I do the same thing. There is some value in that time, but that value isn't tied to the product. This is why I also said handmade is in its own beast, its own category. All of that time is not time that you put into the product's pricing, or the value of the product. That's overhead cost. That's cost that you're going to have. Think about it like this. When you say, oh, but I need to value that time somehow, I need to capture that time. Unless you are literally on payroll, like writing payroll to yourself, with very few of us on What Not Do, some of us with different business structures or business legal entities, we actually do write a payroll, but the majority of people and whatnot are not actually writing a payroll. Our time never hits our books. It is never even an accounting figure that goes on our profit and loss, for one. But aside from that, we're not talking about the value. Absolutely, pricing on whatnot is different for pricing than a booth. And that Southern Charm, you guys, this comes from somebody who has a booth. Southern Charm owns a booth, and she does selling on other places. So that's educated piece of information right there. I find the prep, sourcing, etc. therapeutic. It's a benefit. So there, it's a mindset. But what we're really looking at when somebody says, because you'll hear this, besides it's not your worth, you're also here, well, what about my time? My time's valuable. My time's worth something. Right here, my time is the most valuable thing. This is why I do dollar starts. 9 times, thank you. You made my point before I can make it. Because this is where I was getting at with this. Thank you so much, 9 times. This is where I was getting with this. You're not talking about the value of your time. You're talking about, in a sense you are, but you're really talking about the efficiency of your time, using your time in a way that is going to be the most efficient and best use of your time for your business. That's what you're really getting at. It's not so much a value, it's the efficient use of your time to further your business. And so why is a lower start a more efficient way to do things? No comps. You're saving yourself how many, if you really think about it, how long does it take you? If you have a show with 60 items and you have to look up comps on 60 items in order to price your items for that show, how long is it taking you to look up comps and then to price it? Let me just see, there was a comment I missed here that I want to take a quick look at. My husband said, take a look at it. WTV, if we can sell things at 50 cents or 1 cent starts, we would. It's not about the seller's worth. It's about the item is worth to the chat. 100%. Thank you so much. Yes. But think about your time. This is your efficiency. No looking up comps. No labeling, tagging, putting stickers on. Because once you look up that comp, you got to figure it out somewhere, right? The mental load, the energy that it sucks out of you to constantly be thinking about prices. And I'm speaking this because I've done it both ways. I've done dollar starts and I've spent the time researching, tagging, putting the prices on. All of that is time that could be better spent sourcing more, being on lives more, whatever else. It could be spent in more money-making opportunities versus looking up comps and tagging and whatever else, organizing, all of that good stuff. So when we're really looking at it, when it's know your worth, and that's one of the arguments, and the other argument is, well, my time is worth something. It is. So why don't you use it in a way that's more efficient? That's really the point I wanted to make on the dollar starts or low starts. Is not just dollar starts. Let's see. Kiss my glass. Wondering how you feel about free shipping. That is my next topic, because we're going to talk about dollar starts and free shipping. And I am still doing free shipping. Do you have a minute? Do you have a minimum in the room before you do dollar starts? For me, I don't have a minimum. I think you got to feel the room. You could have 10 people in there, and if they're bidding on items, if you have hot items that they want, and there's 10 people, dollar starts may work perfectly well with 5 people, with 10 people. In general, if you're doing a variety of items, the more people you have, the more opportunity, or statistically, the more people would be interested in your item. That I would say you need to fill the room. I'm just looking to see if I missed questions. So let's go and talk about the free shipping thing here, because that was the other thing I heard this week. A lot of talk about free or reduced. I'm not just talking free, but free or reduced shipping. A lot of you may know I've been doing free shipping since mid-June. I have no intention of stopping my free shipping. July, and I don't say this in a braggy way, and I'm not going to cite numbers to you, but I started mid-June, and I track every single show. I look at it per show, I look at it by month, and I look at it overall of all my shows since I've done free shipping. In June, the month of July, I started mid-June, July 1st to the last day of July, I was my most profitable month ever on Whatnot, and I did a full month. That is a full month, start to finish, of free shipping. I am convinced free shipping works. Now, I say that it works for me. Again, free shipping, reduced shipping is a tool to use strategically in your business in the best manner that fits within your business plan and your business model. So it is not not a one size fits all tool. Here's some of the things I've heard this week about free shipping. I gravitate to free shipping and reduced shipping shows as a buyer. That's human nature. Previously mentioned, 100%. It is human nature. There's nothing wrong with buyer pays all shipping. There's times where it's appropriate. I'll tell you what, there are things in my marketplace on Whatnot, in the store, not my buy it now, in my marketplace, that they're bigger items and I put weights on them, and you're going to pay shipping on them because they're super expensive to ship. So it's okay. Again, it's not a one size fits all, but in general, buyers like it. Put your buyer hat on. We're sellers. Okay, this is a double-edged sword, all right? Dollar starts and free shipping or reduced shipping. This is a double-edged sword. From a buyer's perspective, when we go into a room, I never enter any room on Whatnot and say, oh, I hope shipping is super high and their prices are even higher. No, we're like, oh, cool, reduced shipping, free shipping, and low starts, I'm in, because that's how we are as buyers, right? That's what we like as buyers. It's human nature. Not ashamed to admit it. We look for deals. So as a seller, though, take your buyer hat off, put your seller hat on. We're like, we need profit. Sometimes deals don't equal profit. Yes, I want a good deal. So, but as a seller, we're like, okay, we need profit. It's our jobs as sellers to take these tools that Whatnot gives us and use them strategically to merge those two together, to offer the best deals to our buyers while still making a profit. That's just basic business. Everybody knows it. I'm just stating the obvious here. I know I'm not stating any spectacular news that you haven't already thought of yourself. But it's how you do that. It's how you mix that up and use it. And the negativity I've heard about these tools this last week has just blown my mind. When it comes to free shipping, oh yeah. So my husband's in Red Chat messaging me, why else would you have Black Friday sales? The same concept. But some of the negativity, I don't even want to say negativity, some of the things I've heard this week about free or reduced shipping. I'm not talking about just one or the other. It's anything less than buyer pays all. It's a hook to get people in. I legit heard those words. Oh, thank you. It's a hook to get people in. No, it's not. Free shipping isn't a hook. Free shipping is a tool that I'm using strategically in my business, and it's a benefit to my buyers. It's no more of a hook than your thumbnail. I mean, it's a strategic part of a business plan. It's not a hook. I guess I don't understand how you profit then. If you sell an item for $1 and shipping costs $5, you lose as a seller. Dragonfly, very good question. Did I say your name right? Hold on. Oh no, sorry. Yes, Daffy Dragonfly. That's a very good question. It's because you don't look at each individual item. When you are talking free or reduced shipping or very low starts, you have to look at the whole show, the whole average, maybe a whole week, a whole month. It is the averages. It's the law of averages. If I sell just this pen for $1, I'm going to probably pay $4.35, $4.50. Let's just make it an easy number to ship it. So now I've lost not only $3.50 in shipping, the 30-cent fees, the 2.9% and the 8% that Whatnot's going to charge me on that sale, and whatever I paid for the pen. Okay, I'm in the hole. I agree with you. If I sell just this one item and I look at this just this one item, I'm going to say, nope, it's not worth it. I can't do it. But now I look at, a whole bunch of these. The same buyer buys 100 of these items, 100 of these pens, and I can put them all in one box, and it's one transaction, or maybe it's broken up over 10 transactions. Now I've made money. Now I'm looking at the big picture. You've got to step back. We can't be so micro-focused on each individual item that we lose sight of the big picture. This is why people have loss leaders. This is why stores will put candy bars out there and know that they're losing money on candy bars. When you're a giver, gotta give. Yeah, exactly. There you go, WTV. WTV. There you go. My words are hard today. So it's looking at the law of averages. Are there items when I sell stuff? The more number of sales, yes. So the higher your number of sales, because that's how averages work, the better those numbers usually play out. It also depends on the pricing of the items, right? And what you're sourcing it for. Your money's made when you buy it. If I can buy a whole lot, a large, box full of vases for $2 and there's 10 vases in there, that's 20 cents a piece that I paid. That my cost of goods is 20 cents a piece, right? That's worth that. That means I'm sourcing very well. So there's a lot of different factors that go into it, but definitely it's not a hook. My profit margin is so small, the fees and shows are still small. Do you agree that I should wait on reduced shipping? Tenacity Bridge, I think my advice for anybody contemplating reduced or free shipping is to do this. Go back and look at your analytics. You can look, you can look at what the buyer paid and what you have paid. Now, it's not nice and condensed in one report. You got to do a little digging. But on your shipments page on a computer, you can see what the buyer paid for shipping. Or under the orders, you can see what the buyer paid. And then if you go into your ledger, you can see what you've paid, and you do a little bit of math per show. Figure it out. See what that expense would be, and then look at your profit and decide if that's something that you can take on. Exactly. So then test it out. Do one show of smaller items. That is absolutely something I would suggest without a doubt. The first time you do free or reduced, do smaller items that you can, multiple items can fit in a box. It's just a better way to test it. Don't start with big old, ironstone pieces or things that are bigger than a 12 by 12. That's just not a good way to start. I would say work your way up to that later on. Even a lot of those, I'm at the point now where anything that's oversized, most things, I'm not saying everything, but a lot of oversized items I am not including in my free shipping shows now. Most of my stuff is 12 by 12 or less. So again, let me caveat to, well, no, I think the free shipping is the dollar starts, low starts, handmade is different for your pricing. But free shipping, reduced shipping, I think this applies to handmade too. The other term I heard this week, good morning, Lincho. The other thing I heard this week about reduced and free shipping, literally these words came out of a seller's mouth. It's not fair to those of us who don't do it. It's not fair. Me choosing to use a tool that we all have access to, we all have the ability to use, and we all have free choice on whether we choose to use it or not, sounds pretty fair to me. So the whole concept of me choosing to do free or reduced shipping is not fair. Exactly. It was ridiculous when I heard this comment. The thought that it's not fair, thank you. Ms. Big Papa Bub, we may have been in the same show. Just the thought that it's not fair to you. We as business owners on Whatnot, there is a host of tools. I've talked about them. I have a PDF on them that we can use strategically in our business. And we all have the free choice on which tools to use. This is the beauty of Whatnot. This is why I am such a huge proponent of Whatnot. I sell on other sites too. Whatnot's my favorite. Why? Because I can create my business model and my business strategy. There's so many ways to do it. And not, life isn't fair, exactly. Not all of us are the same. Like, look at I Love Discounts. Great people in real life, becoming good friends of ours. They do fast-paced dollar starts, free shipping, liquidation, selling pallets, boom, 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 boom. Green 13, the same way. Their business model is far different from mine, yet we're all on the same platform selling. That's the beauty of Whatnot. So fairness, just, I'm like, I don't know. On USPS, would you recommend personal or business account? I just have a personal account because it really doesn't matter. You only would be ordering boxes or having them pick up. I don't think it, as far as I know, unless there's some advantage to a business account, I would say it doesn't matter. I say that full transparency. I have a personal account. I do not have a business account. So I don't know if there's advantages to a business account. So when we're talking about these things, especially free shipping, reduced shipping, volume does play into it a little bit. Now, so some of this is category specific. Again, like I said, your pricing for certain categories, particularly handmade, is very different than those of us that just buy and flip things. I also heard that people, EDC would be very difficult. I also heard, hold on, I just saw something about a write-off. You caught my accountant's attention. I assume that shipping is a tax write-off. It is 100%. It is a business expense. So yes, eventually it becomes a expense that you can deduct on your tax return. But I also heard the concept that those of us doing free or reduced shipping are scammers, or we're misusing the system. Yeah, those are the two words. I actually wrote the words down here. That scammers are misusing the system. You know what? There's scammers everywhere. Absolutely. I'm not saying that everybody is the utmost citizens here on Whatnot, because we all know there's scammers exist. But I can say honestly, of the people that I have encountered, 99% of the people I've encountered on Whatnot are small business owners struggling and doing the best they can to make the most of their business, and they're good people. 99% of them. While on shipping, how will USPS handle Whatnot during the upcoming busier season? My packages have been sitting at one location for 5 days. We are strategic. Yep. I don't exactly know how they're going to do it. I would assume from a business perspective, USPS hires more people around the holidays. Honestly, I'm not going to worry about it. And here's why I don't worry about USPS. Is that my job is to sell my item, package my item in the most safest way so that it arrives to my customer in one piece, box it up and ship it out within 2 days. That's my responsibility. Once I hand it to USPS, that's on them. I don't run their business. I can't tell them what to do. I have to trust that they're going to do their job in the way that they're supposed to do their job. I've sold 4,000, almost 5,000 items on Whatnot, not counting the other sites. I've yet to have 2 items have been lost out of all of that. Less than 10 have been broken by USPS. I think they're doing a pretty okay job. Do some of them? I just had a order that I shipped out, 2 or 3 weeks ago that took forever to get to somebody. So yeah, every now and then it happens. It's business. All right, I'm just making sure I don't miss. How much do y'all go up when putting up weight so you don't owe? If anybody in the chat can answer kind of how they estimate, that would be wonderful. I would appreciate it. Again, if you're in the room and you're in there and you see a question and I'm not answering it, or you have a difference of opinion, please put it in there. The collective is far more smarter than Tracy by herself. But I want to make the point that we're not scammers. We're not misusing it because we're using free or reduced shipping. It's not a hook. It's a business tool that we are using strategically in our businesses. There is this general consensus that people doing free or reduced shipping have built this into their business model. Yes, we have. It's a strategic decision. But the negativity I've heard is that you build this into your business model to use it in a way that's not appropriate, where you're not adjusting sizes and maybe you send out so much that you only get caught very infrequently. Are there scammers? Yes, I'm sure that happens. For the most of us, that is not what's happening. We're honest people. I adjust every box size upwards. Anything over 12 by 12, I adjust, and I adjust the weights on every single thing. And the people I know who do free shipping or reduced shipping, all of the ones that I've either purchased from or that I have become friends with, all do the same thing. They're not misusing anything. There's a question here. Let's see. My husband's yelling at me. What do you think about some people saying we need an auctioneer's license to sell on here? Are they the ones reporting others? That is a hot topic. Let me, I'm writing it down. Auction license. I'm going to come right back to that. How are you handling customer concerns with USPS delays? Tinkerbell, with USPS delays, I will look up the tracking on my side. I will communicate with my customer. If they contact me and say, hey, I'm concerned my item isn't here yet, because I'm going to be honest with you, once I ship it, I don't go and keep tracking. Very few items. If I ship something super fragile, super valuable, I may follow the tracking on it. Other than that, I don't. I don't have the time. I ship out hundreds of items a week. I can't sit there and track every single item. So if a customer reaches out to me that, hey, I don't have my item yet, I'll go look up tracking on my side. I'll send it. I'll look at how long it's been. If there is anything I can do, can I contact Whatnot? Can I contact USPS? After a certain amount of days, I do. It has to be at least 14 to 30 days. At least 14 to 30 days. If you look it up on Whatnot, you can't even file a claim. You have to file a claim by day 30, but it has to be 14 days at least from the date of shipment before. So there, and I don't know if I'm giving you the exact right number, so please look it up. In terms of service, under shipping, Whatnot actually explains like the process if something isn't moving in USPS on what you need to do as a seller. There's not really a whole lot you can do. Again, it's out of our hands at that point. I do want to make one more point about free shipping, reduced shipping, and then I'm going to come back to the auctioneer's license. Question. Let me just see. I use a scale and factor in packaging supplies, but I can do it by site. Yep. That's experience right there. You start to get used to it. Does that count for the boxes itself when you oh, okay. That was a question to Mrs. Big Papa Pump. Thank you for helping me out. Yep, you have to cover your box and your wrapping. Is there a cheat sheet on the shipping prices? Shipping prices are actually really easy. I think people in general tend to overcomplicate shipping on Whatnot. If it's less than a pound, it's going first class mail, ground or first class mail, one or the other, depending on what you have clicked. And that's less than $9. It's usually $4 something, and then incrementally it goes up till you hit $9.21. 1 pound to 5 pounds is $9.21, whether it's ground or priority mail. After 5 pounds, if it's flat rate, it stays $9.21. If it's ground or priority, the price increases incrementally based on the weight. And it gets very expensive after the 5 pounds. That's why people don't ship very, very large items on Whatnot after 5 pounds and after dimensionally exceeds 1728 cubic inches. Sorry, not feet. So let me make one more point on free shipping, reduced shipping. There is also this general consensus that we should not use our free adjustments, that it's bad. It's a terrible thing. Don't do that to Whatnot. God forbid you should use your free adjustments. Let's break this down. There is nowhere in terms of service that I have been able to locate that says, do not use your free adjustments. Whatnot doesn't say that. What Whatnot does say in the terms of service is to adjust your box size and weight appropriately and accurately. That's what they say. Also, you're not given a choice on whether you use those free adjustments or not. Here, you look at this. I always use mine. I use mine. So a lot of comments. I use all 5 of mine every week, and I'll tell you why that happens. It is not bad to use your adjustments. Do not feel guilty if you need to use an adjustment. It is okay. Don't like to use them, but I'm glad they're there if you need them. There you go. Why is it okay to use them? 1, there is no toggle off button. Whatnot doesn't give me a choice. I can't say, click, nope, I don't want to use an adjustment. I'm not given that option, right? Also, we all know the way Whatnot, thank you so much for putting that breakdown, S-Fish. I appreciate it. And let's look at it. Let's look at S-Fish breakdown right here real quick. Whatnot charges in bands or levels, whatever you call them. 1 to 7 ounces is $4. That means if I send something that's 1 ounce, it's going to be the exact same price if I send something that's 7 ounces. 8 to 11, if I send something that's 8 ounces, it's the same price as if I send something that's 11 ounces. And then we know the 1 to 5, right? If I'm sending something priority mail and it weighs 1 pound, 1 ounce, it's going to cost the exact same as if I send something that's 4 pounds, 15 ounces. It's the exact same. You're paying that higher end of those bands, okay? You're not paying exact weight. So to compensate, and then you don't get the money back. Your buyer doesn't get the money back. There's no refund. If your buyer buys something that weighs 1 pound, 1 ounce, you're being charged 4 pounds, 15 ounce rate, $9.21. There's no refund to the buyer. There's no refund to you if you, as a seller, you're paying it. What has Whatnot done for you? Giving you 5 adjustments. It's a trade-off. And they recognize this, and this is why they gave us these 5 adjustments. It's a trade-off. It's okay to use those. I do, as a free shipping person, everything goes in as 1 ounce. Not in my store, but in my buy it now during shows and in my auction. Everything is 1 ounce. Therefore, every single time somebody buys something, I pay $4 and whatever, $4.50, $4.30, somewhere in there. Every single time somebody buys something. Then I pack everything together. I adjust my box size. I put it on the scale. I adjust my weight, and I pay the exact appropriate amount, which again is at the higher end of whatever these bands are. Automatically, when I make that adjustment, Whatnot will apply one of those free adjustments. The minute that I change my box weight, my adjustments are gone Monday morning before I even know that they were there. So I think I just went on this huge rant just to say, please don't feel guilty. There's people out there trying to tell you that it's bad, it's wrong, and to make you feel guilty about using them. Don't feel guilty. As long as they're there, this is something that Whatnot did for you. It's okay to use them. Now, I say that you don't use them in a bad way. You're using them in the normal course of business. You're adjusting your weights. You're adjusting your sizes. You're not trying to scam. There's no reason to feel guilty. Let's see, Tenacity Ridge. Right now, I'm always shipping in the same rigid mailer, so I should set a custom profile for that with the correct dimensions, correct? You don't have to. If it's working with what Whatnot has, you don't have to set a custom profile. If it's already working appropriately with the way Whatnot's bundling system works and the way that they assign items, if you're putting in the weight at the front end and it's coming out okay on the back end, I wouldn't worry about it. Their bundling system is actually pretty good. It's actually a pretty good system the way it works. I rarely use custom profiles, only on very, very large items, but that's what works for my business and for what I sell. That could be very different depending on what you sell and how many of those things your customers normally buy at a time. Do you recommend ground shipping or flat rate for over 5 pounds? It depends. Will it fit in a flat rate? If it fits in a flat rate, I would absolutely say flat rate, because you're going to pay $9.21 up to 70 pounds, whereas ground, it incrementally increases and it does get very expensive. I would absolutely 100% recommend flat rate if you can fit it in a flat rate box safely. Let's see. I like having the adjustments as a safety net. Absolutely. I'm just catching up on some comments here. I just had a big unbundling mess up. Packing said labels were correct. Sometimes it takes a minute to learn which buttons to click and the most advantageous way to click those buttons, but the shipping itself isn't super complicated. Let's see. I feel the self-proclaimed OG sellers making these crazy statements are all salty. They're getting schooled by newer sellers. That could be. That may be very, very, very true. Kiss my glass. Big glass needs every adjustment allotted. Oh, I'm telling you, I've sent some swung bases, and absolutely. Will you be doing a show to talk about how to find a raid train to join? Probably not, but I can tell you now how to find a raid train. So, and then auctioneer's license. I didn't forget the question. We're about to talk about that. Sorry. Finding a raid train. Go watch the raid trains that you're interested in. And see who's conducting them and send them an introduction message. So if you see CG Boomerang's a big one, she does a lot of the battle trains. I do a new seller surge. So if you're interested in being on a new seller raid train, find out who's running them. And you usually can find out by looking at the thumbnails. A lot of times we'll say who's running the trains. And also on every train, it's just proper etiquette. Every seller on that train will thank the conductor. That's just etiquette. So watching the raid trains, you'll hear who the conductors are. If you're interested, send them a message. Hi, my name is such and such. I've been a seller this long. This is what I sell. I'd really be interested in joining one of your trains, blah, blah, blah. So you're making connections, you're networking, and you'll start to get invited to trains. Honestly, at the very beginning, I couldn't figure all of that out. And I just didn't know the people to go and listen to. So I just made my own at the very beginning. But I've learned a lot since then. And I would suggest reaching out to other people. Can you message me my advertising advice on brick and mortar? I know it doesn't pertain. Can you message me any advertising? Yeah, Dragonfly, reach out to me. Send me a message. Always happy to talk on Messenger with you. All right, auctioneer's license. So I forget the exact wording of the question, but what do I think about the people saying that auctioneer's license, and are those the ones reporting other people? I don't know if they're who reports who. It's Whatnot has an anonymous reporting system. But are they the ones that are reporting? I mean, I don't know if they're the ones reporting. There are certain people on here that, I don't know, this comes up about every 6 months. And about 2 months ago, there was like this huge kind of panic where this became this huge topic and everybody was talking about it. There are different laws for every single state. This isn't federally mandated. It is state by state. What you need to do is to go to your state laws, look up the state laws, call your state auctioneer licensing department. There's one in every single state. I would start you can just Google that, state auctioneer license department. And I for beauty, real quick, hold on, let me read this. I am an official train stop. If I am streaming when you are on a raid train and you need to get off the train, stretch your legs, stop on in. I for beauty, you crack me up. Y'all, I for beauty shows, if you haven't been in one of his shows, go check him out. He sells gorgeous glass, gorgeous glass. But his shows are mellow, they're calm. When I just want to relax and just chit chat a bit, I go see I for beauty. And he's funny as heck. So, and if you're lucky, you might get a face shot every now and then. All right. So for your auctioneer's license, contact your state auctioneer's license. Contact an attorney if you need to, ask their advice. I'm in Pennsylvania. My business is, I physically live in Pennsylvania. I have my business established in the state of Maryland. Maryland does not have strict rules on auctioneer's license. Pennsylvania does. However, the rules get kind of funny when it comes to the online auctions, right? They're not clear cut. These rules weren't written. A lot of them were written and then amended as online auctions started to take off. I look at it like this. If you're not supposed to do it and your state absolutely says you're not supposed to do it, then that's a choice you make as a business owner, whether you're going to continue or not. If the states are going to start to go after people for this, you may be that one person they make an example out of. But then again, if the whole state of Pennsylvania or Florida is another one I know has some laws, starts to cancel everybody in that state or starts to send them fines, what do you think Whatnot's going to do? This is Whatnot's business. It's their profit, right? Whatnot makes money off of us. Whatnot's probably going to step in the same way eBay stepped in to fight that fight on the behalf. But before they step in, there's going to be a couple people that are made examples of. That's just business. That's just basic logic of the way things would normally kind of flow, right? So I have said all of that to say each state is specific. You as a business owner need to determine your level of risk. If you feel okay continuing, if your state says you shouldn't, or do you need to go and get a license? I do not have an auctioneer's license. I do not feel one is necessary for me. That's a choice I've made for my business. I've also am establishing and running my business on a state that isn't so strict. I would assume that Whatnot has the auction license since it is their app and runs the auction. I think they have something, but from what I've been able to read, it is up to each individual person in the state. Like, we can't rely on Whatnot. I do know, and I don't know all the facts about it, there was a huge case with eBay years and years ago on this similar topic, and eBay fought it and won. That doesn't mean that applies to Whatnot. That was an eBay thing. I'm not worried about it. Honestly, I'm not worried about it. They send me a letter, they slap my hand, I say, okay, I figure out what I need to do to change, and I change. There's also sense in don't put all your eggs in one basket. While Whatnot is a good portion of my business profit, it's not all of my business profit. So look at that too, a little diversification. Maybe have a backup plan. We always have a plan B. In real businesses, there's always, you cannot, well, you probably can, ones that aren't prepared, but most businesses always have some type of plan. Let's see, my husband is telling me to read a message here and I cannot find it. So let's see. Sorry, trying to find a message. My husband's like, this is an important message, read it. Okay, I am not seeing it. Let's see, CP Finds. I haven't had my first show yet. Added items yesterday. Got message saying I sold an item from Whatnot. Order bot. Is that legit? I have zero idea. I've never seen that. If anybody has seen that, can you please help CP Finds? Did you sell some from your bin maybe? Did like somebody just go in? Because people can go into your marketplace and buy it even if you're not live. Raid trains. Are most people in trains organic customers or just other shop owners? Seems like it's a more entertainment than a business plan. Raid trains for me, I've never looked at a raid train as a way to make money. To me, that's an added bonus. If I make money on a raid train, that's wonderful. Yay, good, go me. Raid trains are for exposure. Raid trains get you exposed to maybe audiences that you normally might not stumble upon your show. So it's good exposure. It's marketing, advertising. So when you're on a raid train, really sell yourself. You really want to put out there what you're doing, have really good products. It's a really good way to show them what you got. Let's see. Okay, so Kiss My Glass says, my old friend turned me in. They have a license and mad about it. Oh, I am so sorry, Kiss My Glass. That is so sad. Look at Whatnot's like high school. If y'all haven't realized this, I'm sorry to be the one to have to break it to you. You got a message. Bonnie, thank you for helping CP Finds. But Whatnot is like high school. It's cliquey. The women can be bitchy. I don't have explicit on, sorry for my language. But it is. It's like high school. Don't worry about it. Do not worry about them. Do you. Do your business. Focus on you. Focus on your business plan, growing your business. The people who like you will find you, and you will create your own little clique or group. And and not necessarily click. I mean, like, I like to try to think that we kind of go to different categories and we make friends, but yes, it's very clicky. All it takes is for you to be on this app for about 2 months and watch the raid trains, and you will see who the groups are, because it's the same people on the same trains over and over again. For the most part, not all trains are run that way, but there are some trains that are regular trains that like happen on a certain day of the month over and over, and it's always the same kind of group of people. It is what it is. That's human nature. Don't worry about it. Let's see here. Got my first order from you. Oh, thank you. Thank you so much, Laurel Mountain Vintage. I appreciate that. Yeah, 5 months and you've seen it. So yeah, it's clicky. You're an island. Choco Dog, you're an island. It's good to be an island. You know, literally though, that is such a good way to put it. We need to be out here focused on ourselves. Yes, network, you make friends, we, do all of that stuff. Amy Perrin. Let's see. Amy Perrin says, Mr. Ornament and I do our spotlight train, and it's geared towards maximizing profit and highlighting the seller. And that is true. Actually, that is very true. I do have to say an exception for Mr. Ornament and Amy Perrin. Mr. Ornament, actually, for those of you who don't know, is Mrs. Ornament. Mr. Ornament that's the husband, used to be his account, then Mrs. Ornament took over. I thought it was a gentleman for the longest time, so that was something I learned. But anyways, they do. I have been on their trains, and I have actually made really good money on their trains. Not everybody. I say that as a general statement. Not everybody is clicky about their trains, and I say that as a person who runs trains. But there are some that are very clicky. It is what it is. Who cares? Be an island. Be like Choco Dog. Focus on you. Focus on your business. Who cares if the guy next to you is doing free shipping or dollar sales? Do you, right? Now, smart business owners will also look at what's going on around them. They'll look at their competition and adjust accordingly when needed if their business plan isn't producing the results that it needs to produce. Sorry, off topic. No, not off topic. We do not use OBS. WTV, message my husband, Zoe's Tea Mod. It's such a tongue twister. Message him. He'll talk to you about it. He does free lessons if you're interested. All right, I need to take a breath. All right, there you go. He put it in there. Okay, so that's all my hype on free shipping, dollar starts. Always happy to keep talking about it. But I do want to tell you guys. Oh, Joy, that is my favorite topic right there. My favorite topic ever. So taxes, please bookmark me as we're getting to that time of year, usually around October. I start to do tax and accounting shows. If you have not got a chance to be in my shows before, my name's Tracy. This is Zoe's Treasures. I am a CPA with over 30 years of experience. So I do tax and accounting shows. I'm always happy to answer those type of questions in my regular shows, but I don't focus my shows on them all year long because I would bore people and nobody would ever come back. But during tax season, I do those shows to help people because that's what's on their minds at that time. You will get a 1099 if you have met the threshold, and you will most likely file a Schedule C if you're not incorporated as an LLC or an S Corp or a regular corporation. But if you have specific questions, Joy, message me and I can answer you specific questions. Other than that, hang out, watch the shows. I actually will, as we get close to the end of the year, get a Schedule C, and I will walk through it line by line by line by line so that you can understand exactly what's there, whether you do your own taxes or you take them to somebody else to do it. At least you understand what they're doing so you can evaluate it on whether they did a good job or not. The threshold this year, I want to say, is $5,000. I'll have to look it up again. The IRS has been slowly decreasing that threshold. But even if you make less than the $5,000, you are required to claim all of that income. So a lot of people have the false thought that I only need to report the income if Whatnot gives me a 1099 or any of the other platforms. That is not true. You do need to report all the income regardless. Timeless charm code, that is okay. All right. So talking free shipping, we talked free shipping, we talked dollar starts. I'm going to put my money where my mouth is. I always preach, you have all these tools available to you. Try different tools, try them in combination in different ways. Figure out what works for you. You don't know what's going to work until you try it, right? Do it smartly. Think about it. Think about the pros, the cons, figure out how to do it. So no questions till then. Also not boring to me. No, Coach Constance, you can always ask questions. I will try to answer it as best I can. So feel free to put it in the chat. Just if you guys are asking me a specific question, try to use the question mark, because my eyes kind of glaze over a lot of the white messages and the yellow ones really pop at me. So I'm putting my money where my mouth is, and I'm trying something totally new that I have never done. I've done dollar starts. I've done free shipping. On 8:30, my primitive show, I am going to do a full show of dollar starts with free shipping. So please come bookmark it, 8:30. It is a week from Saturday. Everything, dollar starts, everything free shipping. When I say everything I'm auctioning. The stuff in the bin is going to be the regular bin prices. All of my auctions will be a dollar start. The IRS usually only requires reporting. There is a threshold. There is a threshold for reporting because it's based on your deductions that you can take, your standard deduction, but you are required to report all income. But absolutely, I always do, as a CPA myself, I always recommend that everybody have their own accountant, bookkeeper, or CPA, one of those three, that you get your advice, because this is the biggest reason why. You cannot get your advice from Facebook. You can't get everything from me. I will give you general answers. You can't get it from Google. You have a unique set of facts and circumstances to your business, to what your business structure is, what you're doing, and where you are going. So the advice that you receive needs to be tailored to those that set of facts and circumstances. I don't know all of those, so I can't give you exact advice for your one situation. I can give you general advice. I can say, this is what the IRS says about this. This is the proper way to account for this. But as far as your specifics, that's why you need someone you trust as a CPA, accountant, or bookkeeper to really give you that specific advice. So they can take up to $5,000 startup cost. Kiss my glass. Yes, there is specific amounts allowed for startup that you can take the year before you actually start your business. So the startup cost is considered before you actually start the sales of your business. So it's not usually something I talk a lot about, but I will jot it down because it may apply this year to some people. So, but you are correct. There is a certain dollar amount. I haven't looked that rule up to know if it's 5,000 off the top of my head. But there is definitely allowables for that. So do you recommend doing an LLC or DBA? This honestly started as a side hustle, but it's growing. So I want to make sure I am doing what I need to do. So this is my other favorite topic, is the LLC topic. Those of you who've been around are probably rolling your eyes. They're like, uh-oh, shit, Tracy's about to get on her soapbox. Yes, I am. An LLC is one of those pieces of information that is floating around that is completely a missed piece of information that, if you ever want to go to, I'm an official, everyone's welcome seller. One of those pieces of information that's like, oh, you're a reseller? Did you get your LLC? Go make your LLC. There is legitimate reasons to have an LLC, a limited liability corporation, LLP, limited liability partnership, very similar. There's some finite differences between the two, but you don't have to, okay? What you need to do is talk to a financial advisor and a CPA and an attorney, or some combination of those. Again, looking at the facts and situations of your situation and where you want to go. LLC and EIN are not the same, and I will touch on that. So I just have to jot it down because I'll squirrel and forget. An LLC could be a very legitimate business structure under certain circumstances, but it's not a blanket, everybody needs an LLC, particularly for tax reasons. If you are a single member, and when I say single member, that means you or you and your spouse filing a joint return. If you're a single member LLC, you file a Schedule C tax form. Guess what you file if you're a sole proprietor? A Schedule C tax form. The rules are the same. So if you hear somebody say, oh, I need an LLC for tax reasons, if it's just you're a single member and there's no other reasons out there, that's probably not a sufficient reason to make an LLC. Again, there are reasons too, depending on, do you own What assets do you own? What liability may you be opening up yourself to? What are your future plans? What are your growth plans? Do you have partners? There's a lot of variables. And that's why I say go get somebody, give them all your information, and let them advise you appropriately. But it is not a blanket. You also do not need a DBA, which is a doing business as. You can, if you want to separate your name from the business name, you can get a DBA, but it's not a legal structure, and that has nothing at all to do with taxes. A DBA. I've never had an LLC, been in business 30 years. Exactly. An EIN, thank you, Baby Need Shoes. EIN and an LLC. So as Baby Need Shoes says, an EIN, that means Employer Identification Number. It is a number the IRS gives you, adequately stated there in the chat. I'm glad that was helpful. And if you have other questions, please feel free to message me at any time. You don't always need an EIN. An EIN is like a social security number for business in like the most layman terms possible. When you file your tax return, if you don't have an EIN, your social security number is attached to that Schedule C. However, sometimes if you want to open up a business bank account, if you want to take a loan, there's certain reasons why you may need an EIN number. You go to the IRS, you apply for an EIN number. But it's not always necessary. Sometimes if you want to get a sales tax certificate, depending on the state, that is all state specific, you may need an EIN number. Hopefully that answered some of those questions. Yeah, sole proprietor. Set aside, so Faye West Designs mentioned, I set aside 25% minimum for taxes. That way I'm never in the hole. So you're talking there about making sure at the end of the year, basically whatever. So if you make no money, if you're starting out, say, I've never made any money, I don't have a job of any other sort, I'm starting on whatnot, and all of a sudden I'm making money, I'm going to owe taxes at the end of the year on this money. Yes, you are, because nobody's paying those taxes on your behalf, right? Nobody's withholding them from a paycheck for you. It is good to set some money aside. 25% is kind of a standard rule of thumb. However, it's not always necessary, especially in the very first year, unless you are just like a rocket ship, which is the exception to the rule. Most of us take some time to get our businesses growing on whatnot. You may not need to end up paying. You may actually, you may take a loss on your business. So that again, check with your CPA, check with your accountant. People use stickers. So let's see, Mammy's Market, sorry. People use stickers to increase their sales, especially if they are trying to reach their 1K. How do you get them to purchase those to help the small seller? Mammy, you're not going to like my answer. I'm sorry. The 1,000K mark, Whatnot instituted the 1,000K mark before, and the whole reason, if you're brand new, everybody wants 1,000 sales because you get instant payout when you get your 1,000 sales. Whatnot instituted that you had to wait for your money in order to give you time to practice being a reseller. Plain and simple. They want to make sure you know how to ship. They want to make sure, and also before you get instant payout, I think you have to have a certain like rating too. I don't know what the rating is. I need to go look in terms of service. But they want to make sure you know how to ship, that you can package appropriately, that you can ship within 2 days, that you provide whatever customer service that you're supposed to be providing, to make sure you're trustworthy. Thank you. To make sure you're a trustworthy seller and you know what you're doing before they just start instantly giving you money before you actually send something to a customer. So selling stickers, having that as a little mix in your 1,000 sales, no big deal. But really those 1,000 sales should be authentic items. They should be real items. What I would say to a seller trying to reach your 1,000 sales, go live as often as you can, go often as much as you can, and sell. You will get your 1,000 sales. I know it seems like a long time. I remember when I was about 5 months into Whatnot, and I looked at how many items I would normally sell per show, and I kind of calculated that out. I'm like, it's going to take me 2 years to reach 1,000 sales at this rate. If you're consistent, if you keep doing what you're doing and you keep showing up, it happens faster than you think. I think I ended up getting my 1,000 sales in about 8 months, maybe. And then it's kind of blown up from there. I know it feels like it's forever. Trust me, I totally get it. But I don't think selling just stickers 100% is the way. It could be a mix. Look, I did it. I threw stickers in there. I sold very few of them. People didn't buy them. People get sick of stickers unless you're making really cool custom design stickers like Natural State of High. people get kind of tired of them. Do not put in, go buy my dog a treat or buy my kid a Slurpee or buy me a coffee. That is against terms of service. I have been on Whatnot almost 2 years. I actually looked it up the other day. December 28th was my first show. So almost 2 years. I thought it was in November, and then like I came back in January, February, but Whatnot tells me it's December 28th of 2023. Just sit back, relax, and be an island. That's right. That's what you need to do, is be an island. It will happen. Consistency, grit, determination, all of that is key, and you will get there. Eye for Beauty, y'all. Whatnot hasn't even been around for 15 years. All right, I think I answered, got caught up. If you have more questions, let me know. Oh, what's your opinion about Givvies? Oh, speaking of a Givvy, let me run another one. Thank you for reminding me. My opinion on Givvies is, let me show you what you're getting. Raid Mountain Treasures. Thank you so much. I'm going to show you the Givvy in a second. Let me show you, then we'll do the raid recognition. You are going to get some stickers, because everybody loves stickers like we were just talking about, and a bookmark. That is what the Givvy is for right now. All right, my husband's going to bring up when we raid Mountain Treasures. Thank you for bringing your friends over. Hi, everybody. I am Tracy. This is Zoe's Treasures. We're doing a chat show on a little bit of everything and anything. And I cannot see my screen because it doesn't show for me on my computer, but we're going to bring that up. And my love, you're going to have to tell me when it's showing on screen because I can't see. All right. Check out, this is what we do for raids. We like to show the seller's profile. So Mountain Treasures, thank you so much for raiding us. Please put in the chat what you sell, when your next show is, and everybody, you can take a look at their profile right here. Thank you. Thank you. And with that, we will go back to answering questions. Let's see. We have Leslie's Gems. If things are against the rules, how come some people get away with it? Like buy me a coffee or buy my dog a treat. They just haven't got caught, or somebody hasn't reported them. I'm not a proponent of being Whatnot police and going around reporting people. That's just not my job. I don't want to waste my energy on that. It's not important enough to me. I will report somebody if I see something very, very outrageous. If I see little kids, babies exploited, whatever, things that are very like, oh my God, this needs to stop, I will report. But if I see a buy my kid a Slurpee listing, I won't report. Sometimes I'll send them a private message and say, hey, just check terms of service. That's not allowed. But I've gotten blocked because I've sent people messages like that. So eventually they'll get caught. It's just like speeding, right? Whatnot is just like driving a car. You get on the highway, it says 55, but you go 65, maybe you press that pedal a little bit and go 70. Do you get caught every single time? Nope. But you round that wrong corner and there's that highway patrol and you're busted. And next thing you know, you got a $200 ticket. Same thing with Whatnot. They may get away with it for a while. Eventually, it comes back. It catches up with you. Let's see. What else did I miss here? Do
you think that I need to change the time, Ms. Michelle?
Regular time instead of military time? I know, Southern Charm. I agree with that. I cannot read military time. Wildflower Sue. The sound effects are all my husband. He does all of that great stuff. I am not smart enough to know how to do any of that. Yeah, the math is hard. I'm always like 19 minus 2 is 17. That's 7 o'clock. Like I've got to like think through it. It does not come naturally to me. But he's retired military, so for him it's normal. All right, any other questions before I move on to some other topic? But I'd rather keep answering your questions and ask. I'm trying to look through and see if I have any other questions here. Oh, my opinion on Givvies. I got sidetracked with the raid. My opinion on Givvies. I like Givvies. I think Givvies are cool. As you can see in this show, I do Givvies in this show. They are less costly. They fit in a plain white envelope, so they cost the 73, 74, whatever cents to ship. And I only do them in this show. For my other shows where people are purchasing things, I'm selling larger items, I do free shipping. My Givvy to everybody in other shows is free shipping. I will not do them in other shows. Doesn't mean I don't like them. I think Givies are one of those things that you need to evaluate. It is a tool like free shipping, dollar starts, whatever else. It is a tool Whatnot provides for you to use strategically in your business. It is a business expense. This is my one thing with Givies. It's not free. It costs you the shipping and it costs you whatever the price is of that item that you're shipping or that you purchase. So it is a legit business expense. If you are just starting out and you don't have a marketing or advertising budget and you're kind of not having a lot of money, then maybe Givies aren't your thing. Maybe you need to wait before you put money into Givies. Maybe that money is better spent on offering a discount on an item to encourage people to buy more so you can make more money, offering reduced shipping, doing something like that. So, in general, I have nothing against Givies. I don't think that they're a fun tool that could be used in certain manners. If you're running a long show and you need to use the bathroom, a Givy is a great thing to throw up on the screen while you run to the bathroom real quick, especially if you're by yourself. Tinker and Thrift, you got that giveaway. Congratulations. Let me run another one really quick here. All right, the next one's going. Let's see. I have them all over here. Let's see. What is the next person going to get today? Oh, one of the bird postcards. These are nice, thick, this way. My TV's up there, so I keep looking at the screen. Nice, thick bird postcard. These are really good ones to frame. I like them. All right. I'm holding everything up to the TV like you can see through my TV. All right. Let's see. Yes, I love offering discounted shipping instead of giveaways. When I'm in a show, giveaways, it's such a distraction when I want to buy merchandise. So there's a point there. There's a point from a buyer. Yeah, I prefer in shows, I prefer to give free shipping, funnel that money into other ways that serve my buyers with reduced prices, maybe doing a dollar start. I'm not a fan of a giveaway when somebody raids. Here's why. Olivia, I think I'm going to come right back to your question. I see it there. I'm going to come right back. So I'm not a fan of a giveaway with a raid because you've got about 30 seconds. You don't have 5 minutes to get their attention. You have about 30 seconds. So instead of doing a giveaway, do a dollar start item. Not only do you have a chance to make money because you're selling something, but you're also capturing them. You're showing them what you can sell. I recommend having an item in reserve, sitting there ready with a listing that's ready to do a dollar start. Maybe not something that's in your show. It's just that is your raid item that you're ready to run right on the spot without saying, oh, hold on, let me type something in. You've lost them at that point. But I said all that. Again, it's a tool to use strategically in your business in the best way that serves your business model, structure, goals, aspirations. Olivia, my state says you have to have a license if you're selling something for a fee or commission, but people who are selling their own stuff or estates are okay. Just based on that minimal amount of information, I would say yes. But again, I'm not reading the full state law. I would definitely give your state board a call and clarify with them. So no jail or fees, right? Okay, good advice. My vibe is vintage stickers. Do you have any for sale? I do, Kiss My Glass. They should be in there. They should be in the bin. My vibe is vintage stickers. I tell my buyers I put a little something extra in the order, a sticker, a playing card, etc. Shop with shells, that's a great way to do that. Southern Charm. Why did your name just totally come out of my head? Southern Charm does that. She puts little packages together. They're so cute, and I love getting them because usually you'll write like a nice little note, and then there's always some little surprise. So as a buyer, I'm like, oh, that's exciting. I used to do more of that until I went to free shipping, and I have decided to take some of the funds that I would normally spend on those items, and now that helps me absorb the cost of free shipping. Again, it's using all those things strategically in your business. Thank you for your purchase. The big question, show yourself or not, doesn't matter. I think it does matter. I think this is a social app. We want that personal connection, right? We interact with each other. Choco Dog, I agree. Those cute little items are really cool. So we want to interact with each other. Well, I might not be able to hear you, but I'm feeling your guys' energy. I'm seeing your questions, and that gets me hyped up and ready to go and excited. And if you weren't seeing me and you were just hearing my voice, it would be different. when you're selling, in my first like 6 months, I did not show myself. I was too scared. I'm like, there's no way in hell I'm going in front of a camera. Ain't happening. I did okay. Like I was slowly growing. I noticed a definite change the minute I got in front of the camera. And it's not because I'm wonderful. It's not because I look like Vanna White. None of that stuff, right? It is. I love how you're sitting. Oh, wait, what are we saying here, baby? You're talking to me. See, there you go. Thank you so much. I noticed a difference and my sales picked up. So when I came face to face, I noticed a difference. Now, doesn't mean you have to do your whole show face to face, particularly if you're showing something small that people really need to see the detail on. You might want to welcome them. Hey, everybody, welcome to the show, blah, 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 blah. You're talking a little bit. All right, let's get to selling. And you flip that camera and you're showing, the detail that they need to see. So depending on what you're selling, but I always think a little bit of face-to-face does help you. And you know what? Nobody's judging you. No, if you're judging me, go right ahead. I don't care. People don't judge you. They're like, oh, I love your shirt. Oh, I like your hair today. They'll notice. I've had people say, oh, you got a haircut or whatever it may be. And I just think it makes friends. I didn't make friends on this app until I went face to face. And then I started actually making friends with people. Money Bag Reseller, congratulations. You got that bird postcard. Thanks for being in the show today. All right, let's see. Once I showed myself, I had a huge change in my sales. There you go. Heidi's backing me up there. And hello, Sassy Vintage Chick. I see my husband mentioned you. I did not see you come in. Welcome. Side question, is that a fairy? It is. It's an amber fairy lamp. You like it? That is my one and only fairy lamp that I own because I'm a huge amber glass fan. I've had more, but I sell them. I try not to keep everything, even though I could, but my house would look like a hoarder home if I kept everything. I like the personal. So Tegan says, I like the personal interaction, but I think it's cool to see the face matches a voice. I know, right? This is why, let's see, who have I never seen? I've seen their face. I for Beauty. We always joke about his face reveals. He's one of those sellers who doesn't show his face, and he has this deep voice in the background. And so you like conjure up these pictures. What does he look like? And you've got this thought in your head. Every now and then his camera will slip or something, and you see a quick glimpse of his face, and you're like, I didn't put that voice with that face. So Nine Dimes is another one. I've never seen Nine Dimes' face. The one show that I was in that he flipped the camera, he had wasn't a mask. I didn't even see his eyes. It was like a whole thing covering his face. So I still didn't even know. And that's what I'm curious about. Nine Dimes, if you're in here, I don't know if you're here or not. I am curious on what you look like. Do you look like your brother? Just because we see your brother's face all the time, so I'm always curious. Laurel says, I love how professional, organized, and planned your shows are. Oh, thank you so much. I love all shows. Talk shows or the chat shows are probably my favorite. That's like my go-to. Community is my go-to shows. Because a lot of times I'm listening while I'm driving or something else. So community shows keep it where I'm not tempted to look as much. But I love all types. I love the ones that are just like squirrel brain, let's just talk. But I also like, here's one of my favorites, little known talk shows. A great one for you guys to check out, Custom Word Burning. She is on, oh, honey, do you know when she's on? I want to say Tuesdays. I may be wrong. She is on in the afternoons, I think on Tuesdays. I'll have to go look at her profile and find out. Custom Wood Burning. But she is another one. She keeps notes and she always has a quote. And I just love listening to her. It's very organized. It's one of my favorites. But then I also love I Love Discounts. I Love Discounts with Sandra and Tony. This last week she had notes, but usually she doesn't do notes. And I just love that you never know what topic we're going to talk about. We could be talking about shipping and then talking about their rabbits that they have. I don't know. I like all of it. That's just me. Let's see. If you have all of your inventory in one place, do you show it all or reserve sides of the room area, if that makes sense? So that's a really great question, Kay Cruz. And I think it depends what your show is. Are you having like a variety show and you're going to pull everything out? I think when you plan shows, you should plan how much things you want to sell on the show, right? Are you doing a very curated show where you're just going to do Ironstone or French Country or something like that, and you're going to sell 60 items? obviously you would then just pull those type of items into it. Are you doing a, I want to sell 300 items, I'm going to pull everything I own out? I think it really kind of depends on that. Like what is your approach for the show? What are you trying to sell during that show that day? Monday mornings for me, my Monday shows are random. I pick 40, 50 items of all different sorts, and that's what goes into my show. I also will only sell as much as I can ship. So I do limit what I sell during a show. But then I have a curated show. I like to reserve some stuff personally, just so one, I know I have stock for an upcoming show. But I also don't, typically if somebody says, hey, do you have a hen on a nest and I'm holding it for another show, I typically will not say, oh yeah, come back on this show. I'm like, yeah, heck yeah, you want to buy a hen on a nest? I got one, let me go get it. Very rarely I may say, oh, I'm holding it for something. I polled my buyers and the majority said the connection with the seller is what brings them into a room and brings them back. Tenacity Ridge, there you go. So yeah, it's because this is a social app. That's what sets this app apart, right? I guess there was a question I may have missed. How much can you ship? For me, I don't know if I missed that question or not, but for me, if I sell about 70 to 80 items is my max to be able to ship in 2 days. Now I sell vintage. It's a lot of bubble wrap. It's a lot of breakable stuff. It takes longer to ship that than it does to say t-shirts or some health and beauty items. So you've got to depend on what it is that you're selling, but my max is about 80. If I get any more than about 80, I'm really struggling to get it out within 2 days. I also work full time. So again, a lot of this is dependent upon your own personal environment and what's going on. I'm in the area and the buyers would, okay, but the area I'm in, the buyers would still see behind me and may be items I'm reserving for later shows. If you're not willing to sell it right then, I wouldn't show it. And that's just my own opinion. As a buyer, if I saw something behind you that wasn't like a riser or like a piece of furniture, like part of your display, it was an actual item, and I asked about it and you're like, oh, it's for this show, I'd probably be like, oh, then why are you putting it out there for me to see? Normally the items behind me I have for sale, or I use them to help with my display and advertise. I have risers that I bought from different people on the app, and if somebody asked about it, I'll be like, it's not for sale, but I bought it from this person and they sell it. So the other thing is, if the item is for a special show like a raid train or a battle show, you can have the item as a way to drive traffic and interest for that show. Let's see. My quote, I know a little about a lot and a lot about a little and everything about nothing. I love that. Dig it, I love that. My shows are usually no more than 2 hours. I would like to do longer shows, but again, I have to limit the number of items that I sell. And really after 2 hours, y'all, I'm drained. I'm an introvert. I am very introverted. And it takes me after a show like this, while I'm not in a room with you guys, like physically, I'm on, right? Like any introvert, I'm sure you can relate to this. When you have to smile and talk and you're interacting, you're like on. And then afterwards, I have to decompress. I have to I just need a minute, so for me, it's 2 hours. However, there is a lot of sellers that swear the 2 hour mark is that magic mark where you get more people coming into your room. And I've seen some proof of that could be very true. New Seller Chat said buyers won't trust you if they don't see you. So I guess over 14,000 people in a year and a half don't trust me. East Coast Eclectic, I trust you. I think you're amazing. Yeah, I don't think seeing somebody has anything to do with trust. I think it might help. It helps with that personal connection. And then once you see their face, you kind of have like an instant, like a bonding thing. But I agree with you. I don't think that's all that. I had to let a personal item go because it was on camera. Yeah, Choco Dog, there you go. Because it's hard to say no. Like it's hard to, if somebody wants to buy something, I'm like, yeah, sure. I have literally had people say, do you have any of such and such? And I know I have it in my personal collection. And I'm like, yep, I do. Let me go run and grab it. And I'll sell it right out of my personal collection. There's very few items that I won't sell. There's very few that have enough sentimental value to me. What amount of time for running an item would you say is the best? It depends. The amount of time for running an item depends on what you're selling. I like 10 to 15 seconds, I find is my sweet spot. But maybe you want to wake up the room. That, again, the amount of time is a tool that you can use in different ways depending on what's happening in your show. If your show, your sales are starting to slip, your buyers aren't getting as active in the chat, you need to wake everybody up. Find something you can run for 5 seconds, sudden death. Boom, 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 boom. Let's get some energy going. And then go back to your 15, 20, 30 seconds, whatever it may be. On Battle of the Best shows, rerun items for 2 minutes, because the goal is to get as many bids and drive that price up as high as you can. So you're talking this item up for 2 minutes. But I would never do a 2 minute in a regular show. So really judge it on what the show is, what's the atmosphere, what's the vibe you're trying to create, what's the vibe in the room, and play off of that. And it doesn't have to be the same. You can switch it up in one show. Only my opinion, but I'd rather see products on the shop rather than... Kelly, hold on. Let me see if I understand. Only my opinion, but I'd rather see products on the shop rather than, 1, 2 pound, 3, 4 pound. So I think what you're talking about is, hold on, y'all. I got to sit better. Okay. I'm old. I can't get my leg up without standing up. What you're talking about is random versus listed. And honestly, it's a time thing, I think. I mean, I try to do a little bit of both. I think a lot of that comes down to time. I do like to shop. I do like to go into the bin and be able to look at what items people have coming up. And the reason I like to, if it's not free shipping and I'm trying to fill a box, I want to know if I buy one thing, is there 2 or 3 other things that I'm interested in that I can really maximize my shipping? So think about that as a buyer or as a seller. If you are charging shipping, people want to utilize the full price of the shipping. Once they pay shipping, they have skin in the game. They don't want to pay, $3 for an item and $9 shipping and then have this, the rest of the empty box. They're going to buy more to make that $9 worth their while to spend. So if you are doing and charging for any type of shipping, make sure they have something to fill up their boxes. It will increase your sales. 100% will increase your sales. See if I missed any other questions. I'm way behind. I'm sorry. Amy Parent says, when I'm doing exclusive estate sales, I do random only for record keeping. Yeah, and I think it makes sense for whatever type of show that you're doing. My Monday mornings are random only. You know why I do random only on Monday mornings? I don't have time to list everything. Efficiency-wise, when I looked at the course of my business and how I devote my time, I was killing myself trying to list everything for a Saturday show and a Monday show. So I went to all random. So there's different reasons why you may choose one over the other. Yep. And then Laurel Mountain says, I want to fill a box. How many times do you recommend doing lives a week? As many and as often as you can physically, as much as you can ship and have the energy to do so. So that's going to vary from person to person. For me right now, I do 3 shows a week. I used to do 4. I couldn't keep up with it. There may be a time coming up soon, we're going through some personal stuff, that I drop down to 2 and then pick it back up. So as often as you can with the energy level. If you do a show like you're like, I've got to do 4 a week, but that 3rd or 4th show you're dragging, you're just like, hi everybody, yeah, I got a coffee cup, please buy my cup today, and you're just drained, you're not gonna sell a lot anyway, so why even do the show? Do what you can physically do and what you can physically ship. Do you recommend sending your followers a message to remind them of your upcoming show, like 30 minutes? I do not. I think that it depends how you do it, but that could be considered spam. If they're following me, if they have bookmarked my show and they want to be there and they have their notifications turned on, they will be notified and they will show up. I have never sent messages to people. I don't want to spam them. I don't want to sound desperate. I don't want to be like, please come to my show. Now, if I have made friends with somebody, I did this with I Love Discounts the other day. I'm like, hey, I've got this show coming up. Would you mind mentioning it? I would really appreciate it. And I would do the same for them. Those type of things, or maybe, Southern Charm would be one. I might say, hey, I know you really like the Ironstone. I've got a ton of great stuff on Saturday's show. I may do something like that. But just in general, no, I wouldn't do it. I would think that's spam. I do both random and shop items. Yes, it's time consuming. It takes too long to load. Yeah, it takes too long. I do think I do think loading some stuff is good. Like on my Saturday shows, the way I've set it up is I try to load 10 to 15 items on my Saturday shows. That way, anybody who comes in, they can see, they get a sense of what I'm selling. And then I have everything else behind me. And then I do the rest random. If I have time this week, I was able to take a lot more pictures. I'll have a lot more up today for tomorrow's show. So for me, it's time. But Mondays, I ended up like, I just have to do random. I can't do anything else. How far in advance should we preload a bin before a curated show? As far as you can. That's my advice, as far as you can. The more time you give people. When I've been on top of my game and have had stuff loaded a week or two ahead of time, I've actually had pre-bids that early on. I'm at the point now where I am like lucky to breathe every day, and I get like tonight, I've taken all my pictures, I'll load all my stuff tonight for tomorrow's show. I would generally recommend more than a day though. Specifically too, if you're on some of the battle shows, 2 or 3 weeks, get people excited, drive up that energy. If it's a very special show, maybe it's butter pats or something that you know is like highly desirable, I would try to load up as early as you can and then start talking that show up, driving people, hey, go check it out. I got my bin loaded. Go look at it. As a buy it now or a pre-bid. Yeah. Bookmark shows gives us the notifications. All right. I think I'm caught up. I like sitting with one seller. Okay. She talks. And so, yep. Developing friendships. Let's see if I'm missing anything. Let's see. I don't think I am. What time is it? Where are we of time? Oh, we're still good on time. Let's do another giveaway. Let's see here. Preload as a buy it now or pre-bid. Or do you use CSV? I do not use CSV. I use Vendoo. So the way I do it, and this is a big thing. This is for sellers, especially newer sellers, or even seasoned sellers that are just trying to create efficiencies. I highly recommend taking a look at all of your processes from start to finish. Thank you, Choco Dog. And figuring out, where are you wasting a lot of time? Where can I get some of my time back, right? Especially if you're working full time at another job and we're doing this part time, those of us that are doing it part time, like there's only so many hours in the morning or the evening that you can devote to it, right? But look at your processes. So the way I do things, inventory comes in. I have a spot in my basement with shelves. I have the shelves labeled by my themed shows. So I have a blue and white shelf. I have a farmhouse shelf. I have a primitive shelf. So all of my theme shelves. As I buy stuff, if it fits one of my themes, it goes on that shelf. This is a quick visual way for me to quickly see, oh, hey, I have a primitive show coming up in 2 weeks. My inventory is pretty low. I better source more of that, or I need to source more of this. So for one, it's a visual reminder of what I need to source. It also keeps those organized and ready for a show, right? So they go on the shelf. Normally, and then I have shelves just for my Monday random stuff that really doesn't fit in those categories. I'll grab my Monday random stuff. The first place that always goes is Whatnot before it goes to any other platform. If it doesn't sell on Whatnot, then it goes into a pile that I take pictures of and I post it on all the other platforms and it goes into my bin on Whatnot. That's my system. That's what works for me. And then when it comes to my curated shows on Saturdays, I go and pull everything off the shelf. I pick a handful of those items that I'm going to photograph to put in for the show. So that I do have some preloaded on my Saturday shows and the rest is random. And again, then it's the same process after that. But I would highly suggest looking through the whole thing, what makes sense to you. I found at first on my Saturday shows, I was photographing and listing in just Whatnot 40 to 50 items. And then most of the stuff would sell. So, I was thinking, oh, if it doesn't sell, I'll put it in my bin. I already have my picture. But then it was selling. So I had to step back and say, all right, I'm spending 5 or 6 hours preparing for a show and everything's selling. Like I'm spending so much time photographing. Is that the best use of my time? So then I decreased the amount that I pre-list. For a listing, I've seen where buyers sell random number. How do you set that up? Via temporary listing with a shipping profile attached? No, you could do temporary. I do a quality listing as a random quality listing. I call it free shipping, just because I like to remind people on the bottom of the screen that it's free shipping, but you can, like you said, random. I do a quality listing. I assign it a number of like 100, 500, and I pull it into that show. I prefer that method because it's there, it's ready. every single show I have my random listing ready in case I want to run anything random. Either it's planned or on the fly. For me as a buyer, I get antsy, and I usually will switch shows. If I'm in a show and the seller's like, oh, you want this coffee cup? Okay, this is a random. Wait a minute. Let me picture it. Let me type it in. And then the whole phone is shaking like this. And I'm like, whoa, lady, like set up a random item. Like, so I would highly suggest just getting a quality listing that you move from show to show to show and adjust quantities as needed. You can, right before you run it, quickly change the weight if you need to. So you don't need to put a generic weight in there and change the weight, change the price, but all the rest of the information is there. What's your thoughts about cross-selling in one shop? Example, I'm downsizing vintage now, but also do local craft fairs with laser and unique craft items. So I'm guessing that you're saying like in your store, put as much stuff in there as you want. You assign a category to it. If you have clothes and vintage decor and jewelry, if people's not interested in jewelry, they can just do a search for clothes or do a search for vintage. I don't think there's anything wrong with in your store having a whole mix of whatever it is that you sell. In your shows, I think there's a tolerance for a mix, but I would make sure you're in the right category. I wouldn't go into a sports card show and try to sell vintage decor. But in a vintage decor show, I may sell a vintage sports card, if that makes sense. I may not list vintage jewelry, but I might have a piece or two in my vintage decor show. So I don't think there's anything wrong with bringing some stuff in, but trying to fit as best as possible. Now, if you just have a broad mix, there's categories, storage, estate sales, for broad mixes of stuff. How do you load to Whatnot? So how do you load to Whatnot faster? Oh, so I use Vendoo. I cross-list to Vendoo. So by the time, if I'm not using random listing, if I'm to the point, if I'm picturing and I'm listing, it goes into Vendoo, and then that lists to all the sites at one time for me. I'm not a representative of Vendoo, but I'm a huge fan. I've been using it for about a year now, and it's changed my business. I could never list on all the sites I list on. I just don't have enough time without Vendoo. You might not be able to answer this one, but if you don't sell the federal minimum on Whatnot, do you have to file taxes on it since yes, you still have to file taxes on it. Even if you don't get your 1099K, you still have to report the income. Quality listing and like 200, restoration mission. Quality listing and like 200 quantity for running 200 items in a show. Yes, if you're talking about like doing a random, absolutely, yep. I would actually put on your quality listing, I would make it a higher number just in case. I mean, you can always edit it. It's totally, you can change a number at any time. Thank you, Southern Charm, for helping out with the answers. They're not want to show, sorry, wording. Okay. I try to make a rule for myself. So mid to mod treasures. I try to make a rule for myself when I source and bring into my home. I clean, photograph, and list at that time. That's a great rule. Whatever process works for you. What I do may not work for somebody else. What somebody else does may not work for me. But I think having a process, of course, I'm analytical. Like this is kind of my nature, but I'm very process oriented. The more times you do something in the same way, the quicker you become at it, the less mistakes are made. Same thing goes for shipping. Get yourself a shipping process. My husband will say, I can't do the shipping. I don't know your process, because he knows I have a very, 1, 2, 3, 4 like steps that I do in my shipping. It's forming habits, right? They always tell you there's this whole like adage thing about when you're trying to form a habit, you mix the new habit into the middle of an existing habit. So I have some vitamins I've been trying to remember to take. I make coffee religiously every morning. I'm trying to remember to take this vitamin. Well, I already have the coffee habit, right? So while my coffee's brewing, I remind myself to take my vitamin. Now it's become a habit because I've done that so many times. I don't even think about it. I leave the coffee pot, I walk over and I grab my vitamin, right? Same thing with your processes for business. Oh, you like Vendoo? Yeah, I love Vendoo. Marty's Boutiques. Sure, if you have a shipping question, the Polish Picker, go for it. Ask me. You can sell in vintage, but list your item in the accurate category, Disney, then is available for Disney search. Amy, thank you so much. Yes, you can. Yep, I agree. for your pricing, what's your strategy? Like if you only paid $5, how would you determine how much you will charge for it? That's a great question. If you pay $5, start there. That's your base, right? That's your cost of goods. You want to get that $5 back. Then what do you add on to it? What else are you going to have to pay? 30 cents. You already know when it sells, you're going to pay 30 cents for that sell. So now you're at $5.30. Then you're going to pay the whatnot fees, the 8% and the 2.9. I just estimate this. I know that equals 11 something, but the 2.9 is based on the item price that it sells for, not what you paid for it, and the shipping and the taxes. I estimate at 15%. So I say I have $5.30. I want a 50% markup. I take the $5.30, multiply it by 150, percent, get my markup. Then I tack on another 15%. That is a base break-even price right there. So you've got to think about what you paid for it, and then what the extra fees are, and what markup do you want to get on it. That's a base. That's your bare minimum. Then you start looking at, okay, what is the market bear? What are buyers willing to pay? Again, if you just do a reduced $1, $2, $3, it takes all of that away from you. All that mental energy could be put into doing something else. But what so much would you, okay, well, that would be changing listening during the live. Okay. If my bundled package weighs 69 ounces after being packed and whatnot shows 97 ounces, do I need to adjust that on the label before printing or leave it alone? You can adjust it if you want, but it doesn't matter because you're not going to get any refund. Your buyer's not going to get a refund. If the package weighs less than what whatnot says, you're safe. Enough has been paid. If the package weighs more than what whatnot says, 100% adjust. Oh, okay, good. Well, I'm glad that K Cruz that you're thinking about fees and what whatnot takes. All of that's an expense to you. You may also consider, I think of this to me as an overhead cost, but do you buy boxes? How much are your shipping supplies? I mean, I know each box costs me about $1. That doesn't mean I add $1 onto every item, but all of those overhead expenses are always in the back of my mind when I'm trying to figure out pricing. But again, this is why I would rather go with the lower pricing system. I hate with a passion. It's probably my least favorite part of reselling is figuring out pricing. I'm always, did I charge too much? Did I not charge this? Are they going to pay this? Do I need to discount it? Do I have to track when I bought it so I know when to discount it? I hate all of that. This is why I am trying as hard as I can to get down to a dollar start, be a dollar start person.
Good
because
morning,
for
Ms.
me,
Leslie.
that is so much easier. So if I can make a profit doing free shipping and dollar starts, eventually that's where I will be across the board. We're going to try 8:30. We're going to try the first full dollar start show with free shipping. So we'll see where that goes. I'm not promising I'm going to switch to it completely, but we're going to do a show. We're going to test it out. I always tell you guys, test things out, try it. You don't know if you don't try, right? Just do it smartly. Look at all the pros, look at all the cons, make an educated decision. I also say this, and I like to be very transparent, particularly for people who may be new to me. Thank you for your purchase from the bin. If you're new to me, every now and then I do like to make this point. I have a full-time job. I have a safety net. My tolerance to risk is higher than somebody who relies on whatnot to pay for their food and their mortgage. I can do things a little more risk. I can take more risk. I can try things a little faster, with less concern. But even saying that, I would still encourage you to try different things within the level of risk tolerance that you can allow yourself. Let's see, if you make under 12K in earned income, you don't have to file taxes at all, or if you get income that isn't taxed, you don't file. Be careful with the taxes. You can't just say because you make under, you don't have to file. Particularly if a 1099K is received, all income is reportable. Now there's specific circumstances that you could be exempted out of having to file. But in general, all income is reportable. So be very careful with that. All right. I think we're caught up. We're almost at time. Every single week, I keep wanting to talk about this. I'm going to just spend a little bit of time I'm still taking questions. If you guys have any questions, I think I'm caught up, but I'm watching the screen. All earned income and passive income. I mean, you still have to report passive income. All right. You know what? I was going to talk about facilitating, but let's just talk about something else. It's a little bit quicker of a topic. Chat GPT. It's taking the world by storm, right? AI, this is what's going on. This is the world we live in. AI is taking over, right? I do want to caution everybody about overuse or over-reliance on ChatGPT. Let me see this question real quick. As of right now, I have not made anything and I've only sold what I have in the inventory. Is there still taxes? Yes, there is. Absolutely. Now, at the end of the day, you may take a loss, but yes, if you're making money, there is taxes. Okay, so over-reliance on ChatGPT, and ChatGPT, I always say it wrong. I don't want to go into this a lot, but it will never replace your gut, reasoning, or logic. ChatGPT is based on a statistical data that it pulls from. It cannot replace your intuition, your business sense, your common sense. It is not a human brain. It cannot read human brains. Do not over-rely on it. Over-reliance on ChatGPT will reduce your critical thinking skills. If you use ChatGPT for everything, for I need to know how to do this, I need to know how to run fourth quarter, I need to know how to do this, eventually you start to lose those skills, okay, of critical thinking. I'm just going off on a tangent. I just want to talk about ChatGPT. If you guys have other specific questions, I'm more than happy to answer those. But this is one thing that I wanted to talk about, because there's a lot of sellers out there saying, "Oh, use it for this, use it for that." It is useful for certain things. It does help with generating ideas, coming up with what did I put down? Automations of workflow, but not replacing your original thought is what I'm saying. So it's another tool. Exactly, Southern Charm. I had a whole bunch of points written about it, but there is some dangers to it. I think it is very useful. I use it in my full-time job. But again, not to replace normal human thought, reasoning, logic, gut feelings. Don't let it run your business for you. I've seen this as a trend that's coming to Whatnot. And I've also heard that Whatnot's incorporating more of those type of tools eventually. There is a tendency, what's called hallucinate, and not hallucinate like what we would think on drugs or something. But for ChatGPT, it means it gives inaccurate information and presents it as fact. So just be careful. That's all. I had to write it down because it was one of those things that I've seen. I've seen other sellers praise the use of it for specific things. It is very useful. It's a great tool. Be careful. All right. Let's see. Oh, there you go. See, S. Fish says it's becoming an issue at their 9 to 5. Yeah, my 9 to 5 has actually limited it drastically in the way that we are allowed to use it. I don't know if you've already covered it. Let's see. This is from Leslie. I don't know if you've already covered it about shipping. What do I do if my package is overweight? How do I adjust and cover the cost? All right, so Leslie, that's a great question because this is like the big thing on Whatnot about adjusting your shipping weights. When you go to ship, you have your shipping screen on your computer, right? I don't know how to do it on the phone. I only speak from computer. You have your shipping screen on the computer. You click on that order. When you click on that person's name, that order in your shipment screen, on the right-hand side, the little like a pop-up comes up. There is a button that says edit. I think it says edit shipment is the exact words. If you click on the edit shipment, it opens it up so it allows you to change your box size and your weight. So there, if your box size exceeds the 12 by 12 by 12 inches, change your box size, and then you can also change the weight. Whatnot will automatically adjust the cost. If you have adjustments left and it fits within their adjustment parameters, it'll use your adjustment, doesn't cost you anything. If not, Whatnot will automatically charge you, not the minute you change the weight, but you hit generate label. So once you say, yep, everything's correct, I'm going to generate my label, Whatnot will then charge your ledger for that amount, for the overage. Excuse me. I hope that answered your question. What if you end up having to use 3 boxes for a bundle you sold? You need to unbundle it. So if it's all in one order on your shipments page, you can do the same thing. You click on that shipment, and over on the right-hand side of your screen, it will say unbundle. You click on the unbundle box, and it will allow you to pick which items that you want to pull out to put into another box. You can do that as many times as you need to separate those items into individual boxes. What that will do is create a whole separate shipment. So once you select like items 1, 2, and 3, you're going to put in this other box. You hit unbundle. It's going to confirm. Whatnot's going to say, hey, you sure you want to do this? You say yes. It'll tell you if there's a charge. You say, okay, I got it. And then once you agree to it, it will create a whole nother shipment with just those items and a new shipping label. Yep, it'll print the separate label for you. So then it gives you, so then instead of one shipment with 10 items, you have one shipment with 3 items, one shipment with 7. Then of those 7, if those 7 don't fit in one box and you need to unbundle again, you can do the exact same process again. Now, then you would have 3 labels. Unbundling does count towards your adjustments, yes. But, and that extra charge is on the seller right. Yes and no on restoration, yes or no on whether the seller is charged. I'm assuming that you're doing buyer pays all. Let's just take it from that perspective because that's the easiest way to explain it. The buyer is paying incrementally based on the weight that you put in with the item, right? If the weight that you put in for the item, that weight should be the item plus your packing material. If you're doing that correctly, Whatnot's charging them appropriately. So when you unbundle, the buyer's already paid. Even though you as a seller see one big, huge shipment, the buyer is paid based on weight. So if you have to unbundle, it should be covered by what the buyer paid. Now, if you're doing reduced or free shipping, there's more likely those charges will come back. Free for sure, you're paying. Reduced, there's a good chance that's going to come back on some of those charges on you, or use your adjustment. If your buyer has paid enough in total, if you set it up right, you set your items right, the buyer's paid enough, then you don't even use an adjustment because the buyer's paid for it already. There's nothing to adjust. There's no, as far as Whatnot says in price wise. When you set the price weight for an item, do you weigh the item and then go up one level to cover the box and packaging material? It depends. K-Cruz, it depends on what the item is, how I have to pack it. So if it weighs for me 4 ounces, I'm probably, maybe I'll go up to 8 ounces. If it's close to the pound, I'll go up to the 1 to 2 pounds. So typically, yes. What you should do is take a box, take your average packing material, put it on the scale and figure out how much it weighs. So what would you normally pack something in? If that's 10 ounces, get in the habit of adding on about 10 ounces to whatever the items weigh. As you get more experience and you do this more and more, you start to fine tune that just by natural experience. You start to get better at that. If you already printed the label, you cannot adjust. No, you can, Lizzie. You can go back. There is a way, if you've already printed the label, the same thing in your shipment screen, you can click on that label that's already been generated, that shipment, and there is a button on the right-hand side that says regenerate label. Whatnot will do the adjustments in the background. I do suggest always go back and check, make sure those adjustments were made appropriately, but you can reprint if you made a mistake. I've done that before. I've been too fast trying to click, and I've generated it for the wrong weight, and I'm like, what was I thinking? So it absolutely lets you redo it. But paper stuff, don't, right? But paper, if you already, okay. K-Cruz, if you're talking about your packing materials, like the paper, no, I would put it in the box. I would get a good estimate on what a complete box weighs. So if you normally do a 12 by 12 by 12 box and you fill it with bubble wrap or air bubbles or packing paper, I would put some of that in there. I would put it, and put that on the scale, see how much it weighs. Get a general feel for it. Again, you're only going to have to do that at the beginning because the more you do this, the more you start to enter the weights, the better you get at it. And maybe somebody like Amy Perrin, I'm sure she could, if she's still in here with Pipe Up, she probably doesn't have to weigh all of that on her scale. She knows. She's sold so many things, she could probably pick something up and say, oh, this is probably in this weight category, and be pretty spot on. That's experience, and that will come. That's just time. Okay, Cruz, you're welcome. Thank you for being in my show today. I appreciate it. All right, I do want to mention something before I go. It is getting close. I do have a full-time job I have to get to today, but I want to talk about something really quick. Shannon, if you're using a flat rate box, how are the items on? They're all, as long as they fit in the flat rate box, they're going to bundle the same way and whatnot. You just put them all in a flat rate box.
Hello, Miss Echo.
CG Boomerang Echo. All right, so I'm talking about raid trains, some of which are CG Boomerang Echo's raid trains. But this is something I want to do before we go here. I don't want to start doing this every Friday. What is coming up in the next five to 6 days for you guys? We went through and we looked at people we follow, people we frequently shop with. So I'm not going to answer questions right now. I'm going to focus on this really quick. But in the next few days, today, check out the Antique Pantry raid train. We have the Vintage Vine and Erie Deary Vintage are on that one. Also today is a community show challenge. So this is a community show challenge, I think by CG Boomerang Echo, where people are supposed to do something in the community to teach somebody that has nothing to do with whatnot. Today, S. Fish, he's been on here. You can probably scroll through, find him if you're here. And JJ Shopper, there we go. Thank you, CG Boomerang. Today, S. Fish is going to be on teaching about pop culture. There's S. Fish. So any name that I say, if you're in here, please throw your emojis in, put your times, whatever else, so people can click on you. So he's going to be teaching about pop culture today. Tomorrow, we have the Color Experience. S. Fish is going to be on that. That's a raid train. These are not ones that I am running. These raid trains are just out there. These are just people we like, we follow, we buy from. S. Fish is selling all black things. So the raid train, if you like black items, whatever it may be, check out that raid train tomorrow. Also tomorrow, Toys and Plush. Daisy Lane, one of my favorites, is going to be on there. And Vintage Wars. Vintage Wars is tomorrow. Our own, one of our favorite sellers, Southern Charm, is going to be on Vintage Wars. Her preview show is tonight. I know she has stuff in her bin. Please check her out. I cannot wait to go and support her tomorrow. Sunday, Battle of the Sexes. We have a couple of our favorites on Battle of the Sexes. I Love Discounts and Tinkerbell. There's a lot of other sellers. I didn't go through a list of them. I picked out people that I'm generally do a lot of business with, okay? I Love Discounts, Tinkerbell, Battle of the Sexes. That is on Sunday. Also on Sunday, Battle of the Piggy Bank. This is a cool one. I've seen some of the piggy banks. I Love Discounts is on there. S. Fish, Ingalon. Those are three that I know for sure. Go check that. Is Sunday. And who did you say, honey? Did I miss somebody? Miss Big Papa Pump, maybe? Okay, Miss Big Papa Pump. I didn't have it on my list, but that is also on that one. Wednesday, Wicked 5. Luna Loot is on a Wicked 5 raid train. Also Wednesday is my new seller surge Wednesday evening. Please come support these new sellers. Show them some love. You don't have to buy, but come and give them some good, comments in the chat. Just tell them they're doing good. Give them some encouragement. There's also a plush and toy for Tiny the Artist on Wednesday. And that as far as I'm going to go. Next Friday, I'll give you a rundown of the next week's raid trains. But these are all great people. Hopefully some of them were here and we're able to put some comments in the chat so you can follow them. CG Boomerang Echo, totally steal it. Please steal it. I'm going to be doing this every Friday to close my show out. I'm going to give you the upcoming raid trains for the week, at least of the people that I follow. There is no way I can give you every single one of them. It would take me the full 2-hour show, but I'm going to try to bring you some information. With that, I do apologize if I didn't get to your question. Real quick, I'm going to answer Ella's. How do you find community shows to post a show? It's in the categories. So when you're in Whatnot, search the categories. There is a community category. It is an amazing category. There are some awesome chat shows in there. So go just search in the categories within Whatnot. There's a full community category. And if you're interested about the community, what is it called? Let me get the proper name here. It is called Community Show Challenge. I suggest you reach out to CG Boomerang Echo. She was in here. If you scroll through her message, scroll through the comments, you'll see her name. That is hers, or JJ Shopper. And I'm sure they can, there you go, right there. And I'm sure they will be happy to give you some information on that. It seemed to be one of those ones that are open to everybody. I plan on doing a community show on accounting and taxes because that is my expertise. So, yep, there you go. I Love Discounts. All right, y'all, I gotta go. If I missed something, please message me. I'm always happy to try to help or take questions in the meantime. Look forward to seeing you all. Come and see me tomorrow. And don't forget, Dollar starts, free shipping. I'm trying it out next Saturday, 8:30. All right. We'll talk to you later. We're going to go raid somebody. We're actually going to go raid Natural State of High. She is another one of my faves.
Honey, what are you
Let's see.
doing?
There she is right there. You all have a great